DJ Lagway at 4 for Joe. DJ Lagway comes in at number 5 for me. I got to start off here. You know why he's not higher on my list?
Why?
Joe, why isn't he throwing the football in spring practice?
Oh, is he not? I didn't know this.
Yeah, not throwing. Hey, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I know Florida fans are going to say I'm overreacting. And I may very well be overreacting. So come in the comments and roast me if you got to. DJ Lagway at number 5 for me, number 4 for you. Let's talk on him. Your thoughts on his upcoming season?
Well, we've both spoken very highly of him. And when we did our breakout players, I know it wasn't exactly like a true breakout name to go with because everybody knows who DJ Lagway is. But those instances where he looked like he took over games. He kept them alive. The LSU game was an awesome game for him. And in the 12 games that he appeared, he had 1,900 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which isn't great, and just a hair under 60% completion percentage. Mm-hmm. On a really mediocre Florida offense that didn't really have any good receivers except Chimere DK, who's going to go into the NFL, but like he's fine. He's a fine receiver.
Yeah, to your point, UG Wilson was out at that point, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Go ahead.
We know that he's got the tools. We know that he has the goods. We know that he is a good runner. We know that he has a crazy big arm and that he can make unreal throws that nobody else on this list can make. Here's the biggest part why I love this, why I love him, and why he could end up finishing at as the top 2 guy on this list at the end of the year. He got to play, and he got to go out there and make mistakes. And going out there and making mistakes as a freshman, a true freshman, I think is helpful for taking that next step forward because you need to make mistakes to learn from mistakes. Being afraid to make mistakes is usually what hurts and kills quarterbacks. He wasn't afraid to take risks, and there's a difference in the type of turnovers that he had and Nussmeier had because he wanted to take a risk. He knew that his arm and he could trust his arm, and it didn't come to fruition. And now he gets to learn how to better make those plays and how to amplify and improve his production. So I think that DJ Lagway, I've said this a million times, I'm going to keep saying it, is going to have insane numbers this upcoming year.
I can't go there. I can't go there for a couple of reasons. There are a couple of things. The way that Florida ended at the end of the year when he started, exceptional. Absolutely. He was a big reason why they turned around. Didn't have the
was the reason why they turned around.
Well, that's my point. Yeah, I agree. Didn't have the stats to prove it, but he was the reason is what I was trying to say. There's not a statistical game that you can look at and say he's the reason they won the game. The team got better when he went in there because they felt like, and then when the whole Billy thing came out, it wasn't the Billy thing. It was that DJ Lagway was there too and helping and making big throws in big situations. You brought up the LSU game. I'll bring up Ole Miss. Look, as bad as LSU did at the end there, Ole Miss is the bigger one. The athleticism that he shows in the pocket, the athleticism that he showed in that game in the pocket was absolutely exceptional. First-time starter, I get it, but we got to point out the inevitable. Turnovers have got to come down, right? Like you can't have a 12-9 ratio, or you can't have a 3-2 ratio, right? You can't have a 3-touchdown, 2-interception ratio. That's not going to win anywhere. I'm going to keep saying this about Florida, though. Florida's underrated, man. I'm not saying they're winning the SEC. I'm not going there. Joe, that D-line, they got a lot of production coming back there. A lot of guys that ended that season on that big winning streak that they had. They do have some receivers returning. They do add guys like Dallas to that mix as a freshman. Offensive line and run game will be interesting. You know, you bring in the young freshman last year that really helped you there at the end. Can they be productive? I do think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in not only the conference but the country. I'm interested to see how they react to things around him. They still got Miami early in the year. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how they react as a team. Does that momentum that end of the year for them continue? As a prospect, man, he's really good. And some of the throws, man, were not on him. I just don't – I mean, he didn't
have a lot to work with. I mean, they have an underrated offensive line, which we've hyped up a little bit for, like, how underrated they are.
There were some spurts there.
Yes.
There were some spurts there that it was bad, though. Again, a true freshman coming in. It's so difficult when you say stuff like this on a guy that's a first-time starter, right? Because it's like you can't point out the inevitable without, oh, he was a first-time starter. You can't talk about that. I mean, can we just point out some of the inevitables?
Right. His mistakes were caused by the fact that he was a first-time starter. But again, I think that supplies an advantage. The biggest question for him to get over the hump has a lot to do with how good the receiver room is. Like, let's just be honest with ourselves. Like, I have no idea what their receiver room is going to look like. Like, who's going to be the number one option? I don't know enough.
I do think Trey Wilson could be a guy. I think he could be a real guy. They got talent out there now. They got speed. They got some production.
Can that stuff be actualized, though? Can that stuff actually show up on the field?
More than wide receivers, Billy Napier is the thing that scares me more than anything. Like, I mean,
yes.
Again, just because Billy did what he did does not mean to me that they've turned some magic corner here. Like, I mean, Joe, we're going jet sweep at the 1 yard line. Like, you complete 4 passes, you get there to the red zone, and you're not going to put the ball in the hands of your quarterback. You're going to run it 4 straight times. Like, let's not forget that Tennessee game. Let's not forget some of these situations that Billy will put him in, to not put him in the right positions and right situations now.
Billy needs to be better. That's also a big part of this as well. That, like, he needs to show a lot more consistency with his play. I mean, that's been a huge detraction for them, is them not playing to the potential that everyone thought that Billy Napier was going to bring them. Like, you would have thought that Sark, he would have been the same level of Sark with offensive impact. Sark's shown up. It helps that he's got DJ Lagway to work with, though. But I'll continue to hype up this kid. I can't wait really for him to play to his potential.
Brother, we got him 4 at 5 on our list. That's a pretty stacked list.
Right.
All right.
Right.
To end it out here, you have at number 5, Nico Iamaleava, and I had John Mateer would be my last one here. Let's go with Nico first. Your thoughts on Nico Iamaleava and why you have him at 5?
Look, I'm giving this kid the benefit of the doubt, man. Like, we're talking about here how the first-year starter bit is important to project how a player is going to perform. Like, it's important to bring into the conversation of, like, it's the first time you're getting experience. Last year was his first time getting experience, and he showed us at the beginning of the year how good he could be. Like, he showed us some crazy talent. The way that he can place the ball, the way that he can drive the ball deep down the field, and also the way that he's an underrated athlete as well. Yeah. But he didn't utilize that enough as much as he should. I think that we assume, because of a couple of shaky games where he didn't throw for a ton of yards, that he was overall pretty shit last year. He still finished with 2,600 passing yards. He still finished with 19 touchdowns. He still had 5 interceptions. He was almost 64% completion percentage. Good numbers for a first-year starter. Where Nico needs to take the next step, though, because he's got all the tools, all the traits that you look for in a quarterback. He has to be more willing to take the right risks and to take risks.
Bingo.
He was incredibly timid. Way too timid. It is a plague amongst quarterbacks, and something that's not talked about enough, especially in the NFL, that holds guys back. It was the Bryce Young syndrome early for why Bryce Young was having so much trouble with the Panthers. And then in the second half of this year, he started to play. He screwed him. They benched him, and then they let him start again. And he basically, you could tell that on the field, he was like, I got nothing to lose. That needs to trigger with Nico. And if it does, another guy, I know that I'm being redundant here and it's being a little ridiculous, but like, if he plays to his potential, he could top the list, but he's just not there yet. Lenoris Sellers is the good example of a guy who takes the risks and connects on them. Now we need Nico to learn from Lenoris.
See, here's my issue that I have. Okay, we've talked a lot about first-time starters, right, tonight, because the SEC has a lot of first-time starters. Why did Lenoris Sellers, to your point here, why did he develop during the season and these other guys stayed the same?
Well, because their whole team was reckless abandonment. It was just like, we've got nothing to lose. So they all just went out there and balled. Like, that was literally it the whole season. South Carolina did that. Yeah, that's my whole point.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I do think they were the most underrated team in the SEC that nobody, again. Joe, I would rather, what is the old saying? I would rather tame a lion than have a chicken fight my battles, right? Like I'd rather have to push guys back and take less shots than having to tell guys to take shots. Now, me as an LSU guy, people are going to be like, well, Blake, what are you talking about with Jaden? The difference with a guy like Nico or Jaden is their shots come differently. The runs are big keys to that. The timidness with Nico was not just throwing the football for me, though, Joe. It was running the football, too.
Yeah.
Right? He was timid everywhere. There are guys that, like what you talk about with Lenore Sellers. Where was he never timid in? Brother, he would go to 2 reads, sometimes 3, and if it's not there, he's gone. He don't give a shit. He is gone. He is not going to sit back there. Nico will sit back there and improvise. My guy, go and get the 7 yards, get out of bounds, and live to fight another down, right? Like I felt like the game for him was way too fast, way too fast.
Yeah.
He did not know what he was seeing. How does it look like with a better receiving core? And we got to throw this out there. They led the SEC in drops. Tennessee was god-awful at receiver a year ago. Do they get better there will be a big question mark. But to your point, he was timid too much, and they could not figure it out. Now, people will not remember this. Remember when Nico, going into halftime, got that touchdown. And it's a 13-point game. You're in a situation on the road against Ohio State. Like, hey, what was the conversation piece that everybody was having in halftime? Tennessee gets the ball back. If they go down and score and they can run the football, hey, man, we got ourselves a game here. Well, Dylan Sampson gets hurt. He doesn't come back. Ohio State routes them. My point is that Nico and Tennessee relied on defense, really good defense in the running game a year ago. Dylan Sampson isn't there to save you this time. James Pierce and those dudes defensively are not there to save you this time. There's a lot of different things going on at Tennessee. Now you have to be the guy. For Tennessee to have success, I'm telling you, he's going to have to be the dude. Can he just unleash himself and say, F it? I think you bring up the best point here about why I kept Nico off my list. I kept him off my list because I don't know if he will do that. To your point, though, if Nico Iamaleava is the best quarterback in the SEC next year, I'm not shocked. That's the whole thing with me, though, on this, Joe. If he is, it wasn't shock me. I just don't know if I can see him doing that will be the question. Again, could he be the best? I'm okay. Sure. Cool.
I get what you're saying. And this is why, I don't really have a lot of pushback on your argument against him because, yeah, he still has a lot to prove, and he does need to change his play style. And Heupel needs to unlock that and get that out of him. I just get excited knowing what he's capable of and believing that if he takes just a half of a step forward, not a full step, half of a step forward, he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He's probably going to be a guy that needs to stick around for 3-4 more years. Or no, not 4 more years. 3 more years. Probably needs to finish out. Not 3 more years. 2 more years after this one.
No, he's got 3 more years. He redshirted as a freshman.
Okay, so I am right. 3 more years of eligibility until he should be a 5-year guy. I don't think that he needs to jump to the NFL right away. Maybe somebody convinces him in the NFL to leave because he's got the tools. But he's got room for improvement. That's my biggest part. And I understand though the general fear. I typically fear quarterbacks who are afraid to take risks.
I'm very fearful he won't do it. I mean, what did you have to waste in the Ohio State game?
Well, he was a much better runner in the Ohio State game. He was willing to run, and that was kind of part of where we started to see a different version of him.
The timidness throwing the football, though, man, was god-awful.
The Georgia game for me was the best example of where he just – in Oklahoma, the 2 games where you were scratching your head, and also Arkansas.
Well, Joe, even NC State, who was god-awful. Brother, he threw 2 picks. He did not want to throw interceptions, and if he didn't think he was an instant completion, he did not throw it. He did not throw it. He had no faith in his receiving core. Let's call it what it is. He had 0 faith in it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of justified when they weren't catching shit. So.
That is true. But here's the thing, too. He better get the ball down. Joe, he airmails some stuff. He overthrows stuff. Man, That shit's start uncorking it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Make sure your mechanics are there. All right, last one. John Mateer.
So do you want to lump this in with
yes.
a little bit of spring ball talk?
I do have. Let's get to some spring ball stuff here too. John Mateer was on my top 5 quarterback list in the SEC, but Joe, let's talk about some of the things that are coming out of Oklahoma in spring practice. A lot of discussions are being had around Oklahoma, from what I can tell, about Brent Venables being the DC, in-game situations being a big thing. But John Mateer getting comparisons to Baker Mayfield. I think that is way too early to tell. But here's the big thing. Kip Lewis coming back at linebacker. Not a ton of depth at linebacker, but a lot of talent. I think that they feel that their front seven, a lot of guys, that David Stone, who was the 5-star coming back, you have a lot of interior defensive linemen, edge guys that are coming back. Defensively, they feel like they're going to be really good.
I feel like that the expectation naturally should have just been that Oklahoma's going to be good defensively because, shocker, last year they were good defensively. That wasn't their problem. It was that their offense and their offensive line was a shit show. Can we calm down with the John Mateer stuff? Like, seriously.
I agree.
This is why I kept him off the list. He played G5 adjacent football last year. He's got some nice athleticism. He's got an okay arm. He could be really good this upcoming year. Totally could. He could finish as a top 5 quarterback in the conference, but this hype for this kid it's souring for me because I was excited about him coming in, but hearing some media folks refer to him as Baker Mayfield, one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time, it's gross. Like, holy shit, let the kid play before we put that on him.
Here's the thing that I don't hear coming out of Oklahoma, okay? And this tells me that I think that there's a little naivetism coming from, there you go, coming from the Sooner land. Brother, your O-line, I don't give a shit how good of an offensive line coach you have. Joe, they were bad. And I am going to have to see with my eyes that unit take a step forward. And by the way, be able to run the football without Jackson Arnold having to go QB power the whole time. Everybody looks at Oklahoma and says their O-line was bad, but man, they beat Bama. Brother, you're 6-7. You went into Baton Rouge at the end of the season. You got absolutely demolished. You went against some of these other SEC teams. You got patty smacked. The first half, you could say they competed with Ole Miss, but they fired their OC. It was tied at half. You come out and Ole Miss blows their doors off. That same defense was out there. John Mateer and a new offensive coordinator is going to do wonders for them. They're not going to go 6-7 this year. Okay,
they're going to improve, but this expectation that they're a national championship team is like it's weird.
It's weird, but again, John Mateer doesn't save you from everything. If he does, then he's Superman and he's going to win the Heisman. So your comparison would be right. But even Baker didn't have to do that.
Baker had a great team around him.
He had a great team around him. But how does Jaden Gibson do? How does Giovanni Gibson do? How does Deion Burks returning do? You got like Isaiah Satanga from Arkansas that transfers in, but they got speed. They have some weapons, I guess. How does that translate, Joe? And that I like John Mateer as a quarterback. I mean, brother, I mean, he had over 40 touchdowns a year ago. Right? Like, I mean, I don't care where you're at. That's a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of production. I think he can be good. But, man, I would caution Oklahoma fans. I mean, I hear it coming out of spring. I will caution you. By the way, Joe, how much shit did I get from Oklahoma fans on this here show about calm down, you're probably going to go 6-6. I got obliterated by that fan base. What did they go last year? I'm telling you better calm down because I don't care how good he is. He can win. He can get you to 8-9 wins if he's that good. Running quarterbacks can do that. Is your O-line going to be productive enough, Joe? That's where I start getting questions. The D-line, too. The last thing for me. Oh, they're dominating. Well, if they're dominating, that means that the O-line that I had concerns about are not doing well.
Well, right. Yeah, I'm really interested by the buzz that's coming out of Oklahoma during this spring practices because it just feels a little lofty. I think that we need to be prepared for that. The thing is if they go 9-3, I just want to realize that is a huge accomplishment. Like that's a big step forward for them. That is a great, great season. And I think Mateer is going to be a really good player, but I gotta see him play first. Spring practices are always nice to learn. Like, hey, who's winning a battle? Who's kind of showing a little bit of improvement? Who's looking bigger? You're not going to tell me the full story of everything because you're going up against your